Another major QB development that we got to discuss. We're talking Auburn recruiting, and I got Jeffrey Lee here from Auburn Live. We got a lot to talk about. We got a Bama flip target on campus this weekend. We got official visit news, and of course, this QB stuff is happening. So we're going to break it all down. But first, Auburn fans, hit subscribe to the On3 Recruits channel. We love talking Auburn recruiting. We're going to do it all season long, so jump on board, hit subscribe. All right, let's bring in Jeffrey Lee, and we'll get to the QB stuff. I want to talk Caleb Cunningham. 5-star Bama commitment, going to be on campus this weekend. How important is this visit? I mean, do we expect him to be back on the plains again later this season? Is this going to be the last time that the Auburn staff maybe gets him on campus? What are you thinking here?
Well, I think, you can't get him on the next time unless you get him on this time. So getting him on campus for this game is big for a lot of reasons. He was supposed to come to Big Cat. He did not. This was after an official visit back in the summer. He left the official visit with, Auburn as leader. And then, of course, 2 weeks later, he committed to Alabama.
Right.
So we know behind the scenes, Auburn has continued to pursue Caleb Cunningham, and they always will. A commitment these days means very little. So Auburn has continued to build on their relationship with Caleb Cunningham and has been working to get him back on campus, and presumably will this weekend when Arkansas comes to town.
Mm-hmm.
And this is going to be a continuance. I don't feel like Auburn or anybody else for that matter is going to flip this kid, instantly. I think it's going to be something that maybe builds up until signing day, and then maybe he has a final decision there. So definitely a good step in the right direction for Auburn. I think the next step would be getting him back for maybe one more game, maybe in Texas A&M game there towards the end of the season, because he's going to be in Tuscaloosa. So he's absolutely a tier 1 guy for Auburn. They will not stop until pen meets paper.
All right, more visit news. I want to talk about Joseph Mbatchou. We've talked a lot about him on this channel. You guys know who I'm talking about, right? The early commitment to UF. He's a big monster. His body in the middle, 6'6", 280 pounds, 290. Recruitment is now blowing up. He's got a bunch of teams interested, and the news is he has set an official visit with Auburn. When is it?
End of November, Josh. It'll be for the Texas A&M game. That will be kind of there are two halves to Auburn's season. There's the month of September where you've got 5 home games in a row, and then Auburn's not at home for the entire month of October. They've got 3 away games in October plus a bye. So at no point in October will they have games. So getting that second half of the season of their home schedule, you've got Vanderbilt, you've got La Monroe, and you've got Texas A&M. So Texas A&M is kind of like the Oklahoma of the second half. So getting him back for that, after having him back on campus, I believe for the Cal game, is very big for Auburn. They love this guy. Auburn absolutely loves this guy. They love his potential. They love his ceiling. They love what they've seen from him from the first 3 to 4 weeks of his first season of playing football. So he is a high priority for Auburn.
All right, so let's get to this QB drama. We've talked a lot about Deuce Knight on this channel. We've had him on Flip Watch for about 5 or 6 weeks. The Notre Dame commitment has not announced anything either way, and at this point, it looks like Auburn is reaching out to more options. Quarterback Luke Nickel told Chad Simmons this week that he's been in contact with Auburn. Why? What's going on with Luke Nickel and Auburn? What's going on with Deuce Knight and Auburn?
Yeah, well, it goes back to Big Cat. We've talked about that weekend a lot here, but Deuce comes to Auburn on Big Cat, or his family comes to Auburn that morning. He comes to Auburn later that evening. A lot of buzz around, the recruitment, and maybe a potential flip is coming, and nothing really happens. And then you're hearing maybe late August, and nothing happens. And then here he comes for the first game of the season. Nothing happens. He comes back for the second game of the season. Nothing happens. And then he schedules an official visit to Auburn for the Oklahoma game, September the 28th. However, Notre Dame's big home game this season will be Louisville on the same day. So it'll be interesting to see what he does. Will he visit Auburn? Will he visit Notre Dame? I think Auburn's doing their due diligence. I think they're looking at what happens if he doesn't flip. And I think having somebody at least gauged, hey, Luke, are you interested? Is there a possibility we could get you in on the official visit? Because Auburn absolutely wants a quarterback in this class. They flirted with Juju Lewis. Well, they didn't flirt with him. They went after him and then kind of backed off there towards the end. KJ Lacey is a name we've heard for over a year now. So those two guys, and then you've got Deuce Knight. Well, with things starting, I wouldn't say fade because I think we all still think it's Auburn. Although none of us, and when I say us, me, Cole, Steve Wiltfong, Chad Simmons, all of us who've been following this recruitment, we still think it's Auburn. But, man, the confidence level from everyone, including myself, I had it at 50-50 at one point last week, and then he schedules an official visit, and I kind of got up to 55. So it's going to be telling. We're going to have to wait and see on Deuce. What's he going to do that weekend? If he comes back to Auburn, I'm feeling a lot better about Auburn's chances. If he goes to Notre Dame, I'm understanding now why Auburn contacted Luke Nickel. Okay, and let's don't forget, Josh, Luke Nickel is a teammate of Ryan G. Auburn tight end commitment. He's also the teammate of four-star wide receiver C.J. Wiley, who's committed to Florida State, who is an absolute and always has been a major Auburn target. Mm-hmm. Of course, you could say that for a couple of schools, including Georgia and Tennessee, but it would never hurt to have a guy like Luke Nickel in your class if you were still pushing for a C.J. Wiley. And Luke Nickel they run a system there at Milton, an offensive system very similar to what Hugh Freeze does at Auburn. So there's a lot of interest there in Luke Nickel. We'll see how it develops, and it's going to be a tough. Even Chad Simmons, will say this. He's pretty locked in with Miami.
Yeah, that was going to be my next question. I mean, where do you think Luke Nickel's head is? Because I know he's been spotted on the sidelines throwing up the U. He's saying the right things, but what are you hearing behind the scenes on this one?
It's going to be tough. Don't get me wrong. That Milton is right down, right up 85 from Auburn. So it's a short drive. Isn't easy. It's in the SEC. These kids around here love to play in the SEC. But Miami and the loyalty to Mario Cristobal for taking his commitment when not even North Carolina would take his commitment, for believing in him early, for sticking with him, for standing by him, believing in him early. There's a lot of loyalty there, from what I'm told, with Mario Cristobal and that Miami program. So it's not like, it's not like Auburn's going, well, we can go get that guy. It's not going to be that easy. You're going to have to work. You're going to have to build relationships that you really haven't been, nurturing to this point. This is kind of a new name for us, for the people covering Auburn. So it's not like Auburn's been recruiting this guy like they have been with KJ Lacey, like they have been with Juju Lewis. This is a new relationship as far as we know. And so it's not going to be an easy flip. I think the most you take away from this, Josh, is that Auburn contacted another quarterback. And I think that's very, very telling with their confidence in Deuce Knight and maybe them joining us and losing a little bit of confidence in their ability to flip him.
Yeah, I mean, we've moved from being an if not when situation to, is he going to flip? And now looking at other options. So, yeah, I consider this a major development on Auburn's QB board. Auburn fans, talk to us. How do you guys feel? What do you think about Deuce Knight? Are you guys still hot on Deuce Knight? What do you think of Luke Nickel? Who is your top QB target? Let us know. Comment section below.